Take a look at this tactic setup. It looks like a normal 4-3-3. However, when you look closely, the player you see in attack is actually a right central midfielder, and the player on the left side of central midfield is actually a striker who has drifted into midfield to link up play. So where is the left midfielder? He's actually far wide on the wing, offering width. So what exactly is going on here? This is a tactical philosophy known as total football, where players are capable of occupying different positions on the field. But this style of play is not a Football Manager preset you can choose from. How can we play total football on Football Manager, and why was it not included as a preset in the first place? Let's find out in this video. Total football's story begins in the early 1900s England with Jimmy Hogan, a Burnley tobacco worker who pioneered the combination game, short passes, positional interchange, and collective movement. Rejected by conservative English football, Hogan took his revolutionary ideas to Europe, working in Austria and Hungary, where his philosophy influenced legendary coaches like Hugo Meisel. Hogan's principles, players comfortable in multiple positions, teams moving as a unit, technical ability over physicality, laid the foundation for what would become total football. His influence culminated in Hungary's 6-3 destruction of England and Wembley in 1953. In the 1960s Netherlands, Rinus Michels studied the Hungarian model and implemented total football at Ajax. With 18-year-old Johan Cruyff as his perfect vessel, Michels created a system where any outfield player could assume any role, the team moving as an organic, constantly adapting unit. Ajax won 3 consecutive European Cups, 1970 to 1973. Later as Barcelona manager, Cruyff evolved total football into juego de posición, teaching players like Pep Guardiola, who would spread the philosophy to future generations. Total football isn't just about tactics, it's a mindset transcending rigid formations. The main idea of total football is deceptively simple. Every outfield player must be capable of playing in different positions. This enables seamless positional rotations while maintaining team shape both in and out of possession. But this tactical style has a tiny flaw. You will need players who are comfortable playing out of position. Not only are they hard to find in real football, they are hard to find on Football Manager. You can have a centre back that can easily play as a centre forward and a wing back that can take the position of a winger. But rarely do you see a centre forward who can act as a central pivot or a defensive midfielder. Now, Football Manager does have positional play and player rotations, but not like this. Not in a way that total football demands. Imagine you are playing in a 4-3-3 with inside forwards cutting inside and wing backs overlapping. When your attack is fully developed, you can end up with a 2-3-5 in attack or a 2-3-1-4 if your striker drops too deep. But what happens when you lose possession of the ball? Your flanks are exposed, and if your defensive midfielder doesn't hold his position or drop between the centre backs to form a back 3, you have only 2 players defending the counter-attack. That's not just bad, that's suicidal. What if despite your wing backs flying forward to attack, you always had defensive cover? This is what total football is all about. With fullbacks high and wide, players rotate to cover spaces, maintaining the team shape. The central midfielders can drift wider to act as temporary wing backs. The inside forwards can drop off into the number 10 position to offer numerical superiority in midfield. The ultimate goal? To maintain possession, press effectively, and never leave yourself tactically vulnerable. To build a recommended list of player roles, I studied Ajax and the Netherlands national team from the 1970s, Club River players from the 1940s, and the Hungarian national team from the 1950s. In goal, we have a sweeper keeper, a player who is comfortable with the ball at his feet and can participate in build-up play. Back in the 1970s, players could play a back pass to the goalkeeper and he would pick it up and roll it out to another player. This allowed teams to recycle possession and play out from the back. In defense, this is where it gets risky. The fullbacks in the total football system are attacking. They stretch play and offer width for the side. Across 3 different footballing generations, this was the preferred choice. So wingbacks, complete wingbacks, and fullbacks are a good choice. However, the Austrian national team did have Karl Reiner, who was a traditional fullback focused on man marking. This creates an opportunity to use the inverted wingback in this system. The centre-backs in this system operate like midfielders. Total football adopts a stopper-cover defensive pairing style, but not in the way that we're used to. Here, the defender stepping forward carries the ball into midfield, while the defender that is covering stays back to sweep up through balls. In Football Manager, you can use the ball-playing defender on cover duty and the libero on support duty. We'll talk about this defensive pairing in detail much later. In midfield, the defensive midfielder, central midfielder and box-to-box midfielder were the preferred roles at the time. However, the Hungarian national team had Joseph Bostic, who was strong defensively but could also dictate tempo and act as a playmaker. Total football won't feel complete without the roaming playmaker, someone who can control the game from anywhere on the pitch. The advanced playmaker, however, is my preferred choice for the number 10 position. In attack, inside forwards were the preferred choice. They offered support for the striker and created positional rotations. The false 9 is also perfect for total football as its movement creates gaps for teammates to exploit. Johan Cruyff exemplified this role for Netherlands and Ajax in the 1970s. But we're not in 1970 anymore, and Football Manager is just a game. You can experiment with different roles and different combinations that best suit the players in your squad without compromising the overall playstyle. Let's have a look at what I came up with. Now, based on what we know about total football, here's what the 11th Football Manager preset would look like. A positive mentality to ensure that the team plays on the front foot, shorter passing for greater ball retention, dribble less to encourage the team to pass the ball rather than make unnecessary individual runs, a much lower tempo to control the game, also will play expressive and encourage more positional rotations, an extremely wide attacking width to actually help us make the pitch bigger. We'll also play out of defense, and in the final third, we'll walk the ball into the box. In transition, counter press when we lose possession. The goalkeeper will also slow the pace down, distribute the ball to the defenders either by rolling it out or taking short kicks. When we don't have the ball, the team will play with a high press and a much higher defensive line. This is to make the pitch a bit smaller when we're trying to recover possession. The pressing intensity is more often. We're going to step up more and try to commit more players to the press. We played a few games with Leeds United, and despite losing our first 2 games, we're seeing patterns of total football work for us in game. Our central defender Pascal Struijk was through on goal in a one-on-one situation with the goalkeeper, and he finished it off superbly. And during build-up, we see a central midfielder finish up a sublime move, scoring a tap-in from inside the penalty area. We're sitting outside the top 4 as a newly promoted side in the Premier League. Now, this is not a meta or an overpowered tactic on Football Manager, this is just a tactic preset, so feel free to build your own system using this preset as a guide. Now, in addition to the 4-3-3 system, I did go on to create a back 3 system. Now, this is what you see on screen right now. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to figure out why this is a back 3. Did you get it? Okay, the reason why I'm showing you this is because I want to speak a little bit more about the center-back pairings that we talked about earlier. Now, what I have here is a libero on support duty and a ball-playing defender on cover duty. The reason why I selected these 2 options is because the libero on Football Manager 2024 is not a covering defender. So if you go over to the libero's instruction and then hover over to the description here, you can see here it says, with support duty, the libero is going to step into midfield when possession is secured and look to play through balls into attacking moves and try to support the attack. Now, if you go over to other instructions, you can see that he has, or his other duties are to defend and support. When the libero is on defend duty, there is no additional description as to what he's going to do when he's on defend. He's going to just normally behave like a centre back, traditional like a normal centre back when he's out of possession. However, when the team is in possession or when he is in possession, he's going to step into midfield and act like a holding midfielder or a pivot for the team. For support duty, it describes that that's what he's going to do. But for defend, it doesn't say that is what he's going to do. That's why you have to go ahead and use a libero on support to act as the player that is going to carry the ball into midfield. But then when you go over for the player that's going to stay back and try to cover up the defense and sweep up those through balls, I went for the ball playing defender on cover duty. We can read his description that says with the cover duty, the ball playing defender is going to drop a little deeper and sweep up through balls behind the defensive line. The player roles I've selected for Leeds United here are based on the players that are currently in the squad. If I was managing a different team, there will probably be different player roles on screen. The main idea here is to create a preset tactic that I felt was left out of the game. I hope this video helps you build something special with total football in Football Manager.